Hi, everyone. Hi. Hope you're all doing well. I want to welcome everyone back to my little asylum here. Dr. Funny Girl signing on for another live stream. I hope you've all had a good day. It's only Tuesday, but here in my little part of the world, I've got a long weekend coming up, so I am looking forward to that. And I am going to jump into this right away. I've got a few different things that I want to discuss. So if you're catching the replay, I hope you are able to catch up with me sometime over the next few days. And thanks for stopping by. And I'm just going to jump right into it. So I'm going to ask everybody that's watching to strap yourselves in. Keep, all loose items tucked underneath your seat, arms inside the car. We're going to take another little stroll here through the asylum and talk about a few different things that's been going on in Girl World this past week. So I'm just going to jump right in talking about things that have been going on with Foodie. So I wanted to go over some of her selfishness that's just been totally out on display over the videos she's posted over the last week or so. And then talk a little bit about how, her maladaptive behaviors are just shining through these videos that she's displayed. So I am actually going to start off just, I'd like to, give some typical definitions and things with my videos here. So the American Psychological Association defines maladaptation as a condition in which biological traits or behavior patterns are detrimental, counterproductive, or otherwise interfere with optimal functioning in various domains such as successful interaction with the environment and effectual coping with the challenges and stresses of daily life. Okay, so just to expand on that, talking about some more definitions of what maladaptive response is and defining maladaptive behavior. So maladaptive behavior is one that functions as a poor response to a stimulus or situation. They are the opposite of adaptive behaviors, which allow us to function in a healthy manner throughout our lives and society. Avoidance behaviors are examples of maladaptive behaviors. So they will lead individuals to avoid situations that may induce fear, discomfort, or social anxiety. And while someone may see these actions as helpful in the short term, if they continue to engage in avoidance behaviors, they will lead to a reduction in your social and cognitive growth. This behavior will not be restricted to physical avoidance. Sorry, you can hear my puppies barking. So we'll be talking about one common maladaptive behavior that's shown is maladaptive daydreaming. So daydreaming can be a perfectly normal behavior on its own, but when you are daydreaming for hours on end, it can begin to harm your individual well-being. Okay, so people that use maladaptive responses. Maladaptive responses will be seen in people of all different ages, nationalities, socioeconomic statuses, and backgrounds. They will be prominent in people who struggle with mood and personality disorders, anxiety disorders like social anxiety disorder, developmental delays, eating disorders, a history of anger, and in dysfunctional families. Maladaptive responses can also be seen in those experiencing chronic illness, which makes sense, right? If you're dealing with chronic illness or chronic pain, you're likely going to be distributing or you're likely to be demonstrating some behaviors that show you're not adapting well to your situation. That's a little bit of a normal response, but can, like with any behavior, can go to an extreme. Okay, and then finally, kind of moving on to where this relates to foodie beauty. Maladaptive behaviors can be part of a self-destructive pattern. One study has found that maladaptive behaviors were significant predictors of self-harm. Other studies have shown that other studies have shown difficulties with emotional regulation, and they could lead to maladaptive impulsive behaviors, including risky sexual activity, binge eating, and non-suicidal self-injury. And as with any other mental health disorder, they'll be likely hand in hand with other uh, mental health conditions like addiction, abuse, and trauma. And those things will also lead to maladaptive behaviors. So, hi, Ray. Hi. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. It's a little bit cooler here, which is nice. So, we don't have the AC going all the time. So, it's perfect for walking. So, all right. So, a couple of things that I wanted to cover is, again, so when we're talking about anything on when it comes to mental health issues, everything's on a spectrum, right? So again, when we're talking about maladaptive behaviors, you're going to see them on a spectrum, and of course, on the more severe side of the spectrum, that's where you're going to see the more dangerous behaviors. And I think that we do see a lot of these in the videos that are presented to us online, especially from certain content creators. And you know, a lot of people, I think, also see the maladaptive behaviors of defiance, which they definitely are, for sure. Um, Just curious, Ray, have you done any more research into uh, the oppositional defiance for in adults? Because I need to get more clarification on that myself, because it was my understanding that it is not an adult condition, that it changes to more of a personality disorder once if it's diagnosed in children. I'm actually, while I have my DSM-5 here, I'm going to see if I can find it quickly and take a quick look. I know you said you were talking about it. If you're still here, but pop it in the chat. But if not, don't worry about it. So, and that's something that I want to kind of look into a little bit more myself. Um, I was excited to find out that in my winter semester, I'm going to be doing a lot more clinical classes. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. So, but anyways, back to selfishness and maladaptive behaviors. So over the past week, we've seen a various amount of videos. First one that I've got noted was there was a power outage video. Hi, Michelle. Hi, welcome. Thanks for popping in. Nice to see you. Michelle, I just remind me, I think you're in Australia, right? So her power outage video. So the thing that struck out the most for me in that one uh, is her total lack of awareness. Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. That's one place I want. California. That state's on my is on my bucket list to visit one day. um, Sorry. Back to the power outage. The Her total lack of awareness of the bigger consequences of the power outage. Everything about it, everything she talked about it was how it affected her directly and how it could have turned into a major medical crisis for her. And the only thing I could think about in that video was she just needs to get over herself. Like, if any medical crisis that she might be facing is of her own doing, and whether the power goes out or not uh, shouldn't have any impact on her medical condition if she was taking care of her health. So that one was just, like, I wanted to title this stream "Me, Me, 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 Me," because that's all I could hear when that's all everything was translating when I was listening to the videos. So, yeah, Michelle, I think it's not going to be long. I really do. In fact, she's already complaining. There's already complaints about, apparently her sciatica is acting up again, which I think my personal opinion is that it's not sciatica. It's probably near her related to her diabetes. And so, and then the next video I've got noted here is talking about a boycott, uh, ending her boycott against their protestation for the war in Gaza. And another note I have here is, I guess she was receiving messages from people, and that they were asking her to share GoFundMe's and talking about, asking for help. And she decided the boycott was ending strictly because it was just too hard to try to avoid uh, certain products or businesses and things like that. And again, talking about this while eating enormous amounts of food, where people, you know, when the people in Gaza are literally starving to death. And if you're going to, it's just total lack of awareness and not reading the room. And that just blows my mind that someone says, is presenting the self-representative uh, of Islam and then portraying that type of behavior, and then gets upset when people call her out on it. And then the other two things that I kind of wanted to review were very obviously very sensitive topics, but I think there has to be some really good discussion around them, and that is the fact that there are minors present in her community, and then the possible feederism uh, that's been brought up over the past couple of days. So, all right, and I see Life in Vibe here has posted a couple of things. They are studying this in adults with ADHD. This paper is a little out of my 5-year time frame, but it's interesting. Okay, so yeah, so those that joined late, talking about oppositional defiant disorder and the transition of it from children into adults. So so the studies are doing, sorry, Ray, are they being done in adults or children? Or are they following, are they longitudinal studies where they're following children into adulthood? If you know, and if you don't, if you can shoot a link to the paper, I'd love to read it too. So understanding how ODD interacts with ADHD to impact personality disorder, substance abuse, and treatment response has important clinical, social, and theoretical implications. Is that from the abstract of the paper that you're reading, that you're studying? So are they only studying uh are they only studying people with ADHD? Sorry, I know. If you just want to shoot me the paper, the link to the paper, I can read it myself. But yeah, definitely interesting in finding out um, more information on it. Um, because that's a lot, like, to be studying, to be doing the research and the impact uh, on just people affected with personality disorders, let alone substance abuse on top of that. So yeah, um, if you want to, or even email me the link to the paper is fine. So because I would definitely dive more into that if possible. Maybe we can talk about it together too. So perfect. All right. And then Michelle, there's also been talk of uh, her mother drinking while pregnant. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all, not whatsoever. Angel of Glass, I have ADHD, but not ODD. Yeah, I mean, really, oppositional defiant disorder, it's not one of those, it's not a common diagnosis as far as I know. Um, okay, thank you. Thanks, Ray. I'll see if I can find it. Um, and I don't think that the study Ray was talking about was saying that everyone with ADHD would have ODD because I'm just trying to see if I can find it quickly here. It may not even be in this what it's under in the DSM-5. Just I'd like to actually just get the actual definition of ODD if I can find it. And substance abuse disorders. It might. Adjustment disorders. Okay, I am going to do more research into that, and then we can talk about it next time we meet. So, no more Nashies. Good to see you. Good to see you. OCD, I think, is common. Is probably a common comorbidity with people that are on the autistic spectrum. So that's not unusual at all. So welcome to everybody coming in a little bit late. Good to see you all. Okay, so I'm going to dive in to the two more sensitive topics. So there has been lots of discussion going on about uh, the predatory behavior um, and minors that have been showing up in the community. So first, I think it's completely inappropriate that children are participating in the communities that they don't belong into, and that goes for any community. And if someone becomes aware that there is a minor in their community, then that is their responsibility to take any action to ensure that that minor does not continue to participate in the community, especially when there are such destructive behaviors on display constantly. And, the other thing that I did want to talk about around that is uh, what's considered predatory behavior surrounding minors. Just because I've seen a little bit of um, misleading information being posted. So, um, so when we talk about possible um, inappropriate sexual behaviors in front of children, or what looks like it could be grooming of children, allowing a minor to continue within your community does not necessarily mean that someone is a sexual predator or a sexual deviant, but it can still be considered predatory behavior if they are not discouraging the children or child to not be in the community. So taking no responsibility for it and saying, well, it's not my responsibility that a child is in the community is also not acceptable behavior. So I understand how that people see that as a could come across as a predatory response. It's not. It is, but it isn't. And then, so the last thing I want to talk about that has come up, and I guess has actually been confirmed now, is uh, apparently is now been confirmed that there are people in the community who have been paying for or have confirmed that there is some type of uh, private feederism happening. So now when we go back to talking about what's defined in the DSM-5, feederism does not show up as a paraphilic disorder. And I was trying to do some more research around this, but there's actually not too much out there right now. And I'm not sure if that's just because it's maybe a fairly new subculture that hasn't really been studied a lot. But there is not a lot out there, and so when it comes to discussing it as any type of mental health disorder or paraphilic disorder, or when we're defining it in clinical terms, um, we're someone in the mental health field is always going to be going back to the DSM-5, right? That's kind of the guide for diagnosis for some of these things. So um, let me just see here. Yeah, Michelle, I know, I agree that there's no yes, she does not entertain the thought that it's inappropriate. And that, again, that's a huge problem in itself. That is absolutely. And that, you know, uh, goes back to talking about maladaptive behavior, because a adaptive behavior, or a natural adaptive response, would be an adult saying, this is not appropriate for a child, this is not an appropriate community for a child to be in, and they would ban them. But no, she welcomes them with open arms. So that's why it comes across as predatory, right? So she's not making a connection that it's inappropriate, which, again, that's, to me, that's another characteristic of, something that would shine through on a personality disorder assessment, because that's not an appropriate response. So, okay. So, going back to the feederism. So, when I look up paraphilic disorders in the DSM-5, feederism is not in the DSM-5. What I did find about feederism, when I was just quickly looking through the university library to trying to find some shorter articles I could kind of read, but there really wasn't a lot of them out there. But it was coming up as being um, defined as a behavior that can have a sexual component or erotic component to it. Um, but it's, I think, from what I read, is more closely linked to a mac ma like somebody wanting to have control over their partner. So it's a control thing, um, where the erotic function of it may also be there, but from what I understood, from what I was reading, it was more about having control over someone in a particular type of relationship. Now, do I think it's a good idea that she is doing private eating videos for people? Absolutely not. Because I don't think she fully understands the impact of making those videos. I think that she only sees the money that it gets her in that moment. So she's not seeing, again, beyond the instant gratification of completing those acts and those videos. Uh, the other thing, again, when I see her reaction to, I guess there was another reactor within the community made a, intentionally bought one of the videos to get her to eat it in hopes of humiliating Chantal, which, again, it's completely inappropriate. Completely inappropriate. It should not be happening whatsoever. Now, Chantal didn't have to go through with it, but she did. So she obviously doesn't see that there's any type of issue with her doing that type of private content, as opposed to making those her main videos of which she's making money online. So, hi Deb. No problem. Thanks for coming. Glad you could join us. Glad you could join us. So, to all those lurking, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Um, It's going to be a fairly quick one tonight, but I just, a few things I wanted to talk about, and then just, talk about some of the clinical issues behind a couple things going on. And then what did Norma Nashi say? She may have been exposed to inappropriate behavior, therefore she thinks it's fine. Yeah, and that could be a big problem out with it too. Again, something that could be dealt with in in therapy, but we know that doesn't appear to ever that's ever going to happen. Um, so, so making the videos, the private videos, she doesn't see a problem with it. Commenting that whatever content she puts out online, she doesn't have any type of problem with what people are doing with the content behind the scenes, which tells me that she knows very well that there is a subculture out there that gets some sort of erotic gratification out of what's defined as a fetish in a subculture. So she knows very well it's happening. I think she knows very well that what is happening when she records those private videos, that's what people are requesting. Now she says she's only done it twice. I doubt it. But the other thing is too, when we relate this all back to addiction and the addiction cycle, as she continues to spiral, and we're seeing that spiral more and more and more over like the past 10 days. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. um you're gonna the addict becomes more desperate to get their fix, so they start to do more desperate things, and I think that the financial situation is starting to become a lot more dire. So that's why you're seeing things like the um, the private requests are now being accommodated. And all of what she has presented over the past week is all uh, showing signs of maladaptive behaviors. No more nashies. You can rationalize a lot of BS when you're in active addiction. Yep. Yeah, absolutely you can. And in fact you do, right? That's what anyone who is dealing with some sort of um, behavior uh, like that is, they all rationalize it. Everyone, it all gets rationalized. That's part of the addiction cycle. Um, so the last time we kind of met, I talked about how I think you were going to see her continue to spiral, continue to become more desperate, and I think we're seeing all of that now. Um, I do think that her behaviors are becoming more and more dangerous. There, you're seeing more of a lack of concern for not just her physical self, but I think you're seeing the lack of concern for uh, how it's affecting her community. And the next step we'll see, I think, will be a big lack of concern when it comes to the personal relationships within her life. Um, so I do think it's going to get a little bit dark for her over the next little while, especially because I do think there's so many things up in the air still about her current living situation. And as that becomes closer and closer, you're going to see the spiral get a little bit deeper. Um, and you might hear some more things come out about, you know, especially with the increase of people paying for personal content. So I'm trying to be, I'm trying to avoid certain phrases so they don't get banned from the discussion. So, but oh, and then actually, and there was one. The other note I had down that I didn't talk about. So there was the video that was put out where she, out of the blue, well, I guess not out of the blue, but because maybe she knew that it was going to be brought up in the spotlight again, was the video she put out talking about um, the incident with her, with Sala and Kybella last year. So, and then talking about how, his role in that, and it was just fantasy per se and a fetish, and he wasn't comfortable talking about it with her, and you know all of the regular crap that she had talked about it before. And my thoughts on it is that um, I don't know if any of you caught Milk Tea's response to that video, but I agree with a lot with what Milk Tea had to say. Is that I don't think that Salah has a particular fetish that was discussed um, in all those communications with that other person. I think he just wants to degrade women. Uh, I don't think it has anything to do with particular fetish. I think he just wants to degrade women, and I think it probably comes from uh, not having a lot of, or having to probably being controlled a lot by women in his life, um, and that he doesn't exude the typical Muslim male authority figure. Um, so I think that is where his motivations are for that. So, but that is pretty much kind of all I had tonight. Again, I just wanted to, just a quick discussion about some of the stuff that had been going on and my thoughts on it. And um, no more nashies. I agree. If that usually has some organization to it, he was just crude. Yeah, yeah. Like I think he just wanted to demean women, to demean her. I think nothing to do with a particular fetish at all. So absolutely. So, and you can tell that he's a very non-dominant male just by his affect around around Chantel right from the beginning of when he first came on camera when they first met. So, yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming out tonight, everyone. I appreciate it. Again, tonight is a little bit of just a quick one, just to get some thoughts I had out there. And then I just kind of wanted to address some of the things that have been going on that, I felt needed a bit of clarification when we're talking about things in clinical terms. So I want to thank everybody again for coming. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I know I said I was going to do a stream talking about the goalers, which I am going to do. I'm hoping to do that later this week. Probably I'm going to aim for Thursday. Probably be around the same time as tonight, because I've got some family coming in after that, so I'll be visiting with my sister and my three little alien nieces. So I won't be around too much for about a week or so, but I will keep you guys posted on my community tab. And thank you all for coming out, and have a good night. We'll see you all soon. Bye.